Hello, welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be talking about 11 books that I'm very much looking forward to that are coming out over the summer. So, when I looked through, I've been keeping tabs on books that pique my interest over the last few months that are coming out in the summer. And when I went back to review my list, I realised that most of them are historical fiction. So clearly I'm craving some historical fiction in my life. So 8 of these are historical fiction, and then I do have 1 sci-fi, 1 middle grade and 1 set of short stories that I am also anticipating for the next 3 months. So let's start with the historical fiction, and then we'll do the odds and sods at the end. So the first book, and these aren't in date order because I'm just not that organised and I really need to get this video filmed, but the first book that I'm very much excited for is Shrines of Gaiety by Kate Atkinson, which comes out on the 27th of September. So Kate Atkinson is an author that I have read before. I read Life After Life and God in Ruins, which is sort of a duology about a girl who can relive her life multiple times. Anyway, both of those were very, very good. So when I saw that Kate Atkinson was coming out with a new book, I was very intrigued. So this one, I didn't actually really get a good sense of it from the blurb, but it's set just after World War I in Soho, and it's sort of almost like the nightlife, the dark underbelly of Soho, and you've got sort of like a queen of the nightclubs thing going on, and she has 6 children and she is trying to sort of advance them in various ways. So yeah, that's all I know about it, but I very much trust Kate Atkinson as a writer, and so I'm intrigued to try this one when it is released in September. The next one I've already talked about on my channel in my mid-year freakout tag, and will probably come as no surprise, and that is Stoneblind by Natalie Haynes. I have pre-ordered this. This is the only one on this list that I have actively pre-ordered because I'm trying to not buy too many books. And this is the story of Medusa. So Natalie Haynes has a degree or whatever in classic Greek mythology, all that sort of jazz, and has written a fair few retellings and non-fictions around the subject in recent years, and I have very much enjoyed them. So I read 1,000 Ships and Pandora's Jar last year and loved them, and so I'm very keen to pick this up. There is also in Pandora's Jar, which is a non-fiction looking at the women in Greek myth, there is a chapter on Medusa, and so I have an inkling of the direction that Natalie Haynes will go in for this book, and I'm so excited for it. I think it will be fantastic, and the cover is beautiful, and that is due for release on the 15th of September. Next up, I think this is historical fiction, and that is Babel by RF Kuang, and that is due to be released on the 1st of September. I say I think because RF Kuang is famous for her debut fantasy trilogy, the Poppy War trilogy. I've read the first of those. I need to pick up the next 2 like really soon. But this one, I'm not sure if it has magical elements or not, but it very much sounds like dark academia. It's set in Oxford in the 1800s, and I think we follow a student who's sort of trying to stand up to an empire and sort of the power of language and colonialism and things. So yeah, again, the blurb was quite mysterious on this one, which, to be fair, I prefer to go into my books blind, just knowing a tiny bit, and when it's an author that I've read and very much enjoyed before, I really don't need any blurb. So yeah, I think this one is on a few people's lists this year, so that one comes out 1st of September, if I didn't already say that. The next one I believe is set in the 70s, and that is Carrie, Soto is Back by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and this follows a retired tennis star who was top of her game and she retires and fresh blood comes onto the courts and starts sort of wiping the floor with all of her records, and she comes out of retirement for sort of one last championship. I'll be brutally honest, the premise doesn't sound that good to me, but again, Taylor Jenkins Reid is a very trustworthy author. I think also this is a character that was featured in Malibu Rising, which I haven't read yet, but I think it is there's a link there between those two books. But yeah, that one comes out on the 30th of August. Next up we have Woman of Light by Carrie, Fajardo, Anstine, and this is released on 1st of September, and this one is set in the 1930s, and we follow a young Indigenous girl and her brother as they are forced to sort of flee to Denver after being attacked by white supremacists or a white mob or something like that, and they flee to Denver, and the young girl starts to have sort of visions and memories from her ancestors, and it's sort of then her responsibility to pass these stories on to the other people in her family. So yeah, interested. I definitely want to read more about Indigenous life, and this sounds really interesting. So it's Indigenous perspective and historical fiction, which sounds fabulous. Next up, another prolific author, and that is Emma Donoghue, who is coming with her new book Haven, and in this one we are in 7th century Ireland, and we follow a monk who decides basically that he wants to leave all the sins of the world behind, and he sets off with a couple of other monks and they go to a really remote island off the coast of Ireland, and they set up a monastery there. It sounds really good, actually. That sounds like just my cup of tea, and I have read a couple of books by Emma Donoghue and really like her writing style, so I will definitely be picking that one up as well, and that comes out on the 18th of August. Next up we have Jess Kidd's new release, The Night Ship, which comes out on the 11th of August, and this one is set in 1928, and we follow a young girl who's searching for her father, boards a ship, and then it's about sort of her journey on this ship and the secrets she uncovers around the people who are on this ship. So yeah, sounds interesting. I know Jess Kidd usually has a dark streak through her books, so that one sounds really, really good. And then the last historical fiction on my list is The Lost Girls of Willowbrook by Ellen Marie Wiseman, which comes out on the 30th of August. And credit where credit's due, I saw this on Books and Jams channel and was like, that sounds really good. I'm adding that to my list of anticipated reads. And in this one, we are based in, I can't remember what city it is, a city in America, and there's this Wiseman school or institution is a mental institution, but what they've been doing is just dropping off like homeless girls there to live in this mental institution, and it follows what happens there and the aftermath of when it's sort of all of this is uncovered in the 1970s. So I did see a quote and it said Shutter Island crossed with Girl Interrupted, and I was like, hell yes. So those are all the historical fictions I'm really excited for. The middle grade that I'm excited for is Leila and the Fox by Kiran, Millwood, Hargrave, and that comes out on the 29th of September. And I'll be honest, the cover, obviously, and the author, but the cover. And I don't know too much about this. I think it's about a fox and a girl, and they make a journey to find this girl's mother. But interestingly, I read that it was based on the true story of a fox that travelled like 2,000 miles from Norway to Canada. So yeah, interesting. And again, trust Kiran Millwood Hargrave with her writing. So I will definitely be trying to get to that one. The short story collection. Yes, I know Gemma doesn't read short story collections, but the short story collection that's on my list is Life Ceremony by Sayaka Murata. This comes out on the 14th of July. But yeah, I basically saw Scott over at Gunpowder Fiction and Plot review this the other day, and I thought, that sounds really weird. I have to read it to know. And then not long afterwards, Rosie at Rosie Cockshut did like a vlog of her reading experience of this book. I will link both of those videos below. And I was like, yeah, no, I definitely need to read this book. So yeah, really interested. It's translated from the Japanese, I believe. So yeah, who am I? Short story reader. And then the final one is a sci-fi, and this again is on a lot of people's anticipated lists, and that's Upgrade by Blake Crouch. I read Dark Matter by this author a couple of years ago, and it was so good. It completely sucked you in. Loved it. Loved the journey. Loved the ride. And I want it again. So in this one, I think it's a little bit like your DNA gets like enhanced so that you're like faster and stronger and more intelligent and stuff. And the main protagonist sort of gets this upgrade, and the government plan is to roll it out like widely, but maybe they shouldn't, and our main protagonist is trying to sort of stop that from happening, I think. Not too sure, to be fair, and it's Blake Crouch, so it could go in any direction, but yes, very excited for that one. And that comes out on the 7th of July, so as it's the 7th of July today, this book will already be out when this video goes live, but I'm still anticipating it, so I'm going to leave it in. Are there any books that you are anticipating that I've missed that you think that is definitely a Gemma book? Please let me know below, and I hope you're all having a lovely evening, morning, afternoon. If you're interested in the books that I was anticipating for the spring, I will leave that video here, and I will see you all very soon with another one. Bye guys!